You send a newsletter, or maybe a marketing person does, and somewhere on a dashboard, a little number ticks up. Open. Then another line appears next to it. Open again. 4 minutes later, on a phone, somewhere near a city you have never been to. The person who got that email did not click anything. They did not reply. They just looked at it for a second and moved on. And yet, the sender watched it happen almost in real time, like a light blinking on in a house when someone walks into a room. That is not a glitch, and it is not magic. It is a single image, smaller than the period at the end of this sentence, sitting quietly inside the message. And the moment your mail program drew it on the screen, it told on you. By the end of this, you will know exactly how an ordinary email turns into a sensor, what it reports back, who is reading those reports, and what actually stops it. Summation to pixel you never see. Start with the thing itself. A tracking pixel is just an image, usually 1 pixel wide by 1 pixel tall, often fully transparent, dropped into the body of an email. You never notice it because there is nothing to notice. It has no color, no border, no shape on the page. But an image in an email is not really part of the email. It is a request. The message says, when you open this, go fetch a picture from this address. And that little errand, the trip out to fetch a picture nobody can see, is the whole trick. And the address that picture sits at is not generic. It is unique to you. When the sender builds your copy of the message, they bake a little tag into the image link, a string of characters that means nothing to you and everything to them. So the server does not just learn that someone, somewhere, opened an email. It learns that this specific person, on this specific send, opened this specific message. The pixel everyone gets looks identical. The address behind each one is a different name tag. How an image phones home. Think about what your mail program does when it shows you a message with pictures in it. The text arrives with the email, but the images usually do not. Instead, the message carries links that say the photo lives over here, on this server, come and get it. So your mail program reaches out across the internet to that server and asks for each image. The server hands the picture back, and your screen fills in. For a normal photo that is invisible plumbing you never think about. For a 1 by 1 pixel that nobody will ever see. That send request has only one purpose, and it is to be made at all. The moment you open it, here is where the timing comes from. The message can sit in your inbox for a week and nothing happens. The pixel does not phone home while it waits. It only reaches out the instant your mail program decides to display the message, which is almost always the moment you open it. So the request itself is the signal. The sender does not need to know what you read or how you felt. They just need that one fetch to arrive because the fetch only happens when the message is opened. The email did not have a read receipt you agreed to. It had one wired in from the start, and you triggered it by looking what the fetch reveals. Now think about what travels with that request, because it is more than a yes. Every time your device asks a server for something, it has to say where to send the answer. That is your connecting address, the number the internet uses to route the reply back to you. From that one, fetch the sender learns several things at once, that the message was opened, and the exact time it happened down to the second. Roughly where you were, because the connecting address usually maps to a region or a city, and often what kind of device and mail program you used, because your software politely introduces itself every time it asks for a file. None of that came from you typing anything. It came from a picture loading. Once is never the only time. It gets quieter and more detailed than a single ping. That pixel does not fire once and retire. Every time the message gets displayed, it fetches again. So the sender does not just see that you opened it. They see that you opened it at 9 in the morning, then again at lunch, then a third time that evening when you forwarded it to someone else, and that person opened it too, from a different city. Open counts, repeat opens, even a rough sense of how many people a message reached after it left your inbox. All of it assembled from the same tiny image being asked for, over and over. And the second city is the interesting part, because the image link carried your name tag. The open from your friend still reports back as your message forwarded, even though it is a different person on a different connection. The sender cannot always tell exactly how far a message traveled, but they can see it kept getting opened after it left you. One email, one pixel, and a faint trail of everywhere it went next. From again, every link is wrapped. The pixel is only half of it. Look at the links in a marketing email and they almost never point straight at the place they claim to. You see a button that says read more and the address underneath does not go to the article. It goes to the sender's own tracking server first, which records the click and then forwards you on to the real destinations. That detour is called link wrapping. For a fraction of a second, you pass through a turnstile that notes which person clicked which link at which time, before quietly sending you where you wanted to go. You feel like you went straight there. You went through a counter first, and link wrapping closes a gap the pixel cannot. Blocking remote images stops the open from registering. But a click is something you do on purpose, with a tap that has to go somewhere. So even a person who never loads a single image still hands over a clean signal the moment they click anything in the message. The wrapped link is the one piece of tracking you cannot really turn off from inside the email, because clicking it is the whole point of the link. A profile, not a number. Put the pixel and the wrapped links together and you stop having events and start having a profile. Not just opened, but opens every email within a minute, usually on a phone, usually in the evening, always clicks the second link, but never the first. That pattern is worth real money to whoever holds it. It decides what gets sent to you, when, how often, and how hard. A person who opens everything gets treated differently from a person who never opens at all. The pixel is how the sender learns which one you are without ever asking. That profile rarely stays with one company. Those same hashed identifiers and behavior scores get traded between platforms, so the sense of you as a reliable opener follows your address around to senders you never signed up with. You become a known quantity in a market you cannot see. The pixel started as a way to count opens. It ends as a quiet rating of how reachable you are. Most of the time this is marketing, and it is everywhere because it is built into the tools. The platforms that send bulk email turn this on by default. Open tracking and click tracking are usually just a checkbox, often already ticked, and most senders never think about it. But the same plumbing does not care who is using it. The exact technique that tells a newsletter team their open rate also tells a stranger that the message they sent landed, was read at a certain time from a certain place. A quiet email with one invisible pixel can confirm that an address is live, that a person is paying attention, and roughly where that person is sitting. The mechanism is neutral. The intent behind it is not always. The read receipt you never agreed to. Step back and notice how strange this is. A normal read receipt, the kind some apps offer, asks first. It is a feature you can see and switch off, and the other person knows it is on. The pixel is the opposite. Nothing announced it, nothing asked you, and there is no setting inside the email to decline it. It is a read receipt that the sender controls completely and that you were never told about. The only reason it works at all is that your mail program, trying to be helpful, loads the pictures the moment you open the message. So the defense begins there, and that is exactly where the main defense lives, because the pixel only works if your mail program goes and fetches it. The simplest protection is to not fetch it automatically. Most mail programs have a setting to block remote images, to show the text first and leave the pictures unloaded until you ask for them. With that turned on, you open the message and the pixel just sits there, never requested, never phoning home. The sender's dashboard shows nothing. You read the words and the little errand out to their server simply never happens. It is the single most effective thing an ordinary person can do. The proxy in the middle, some mail providers go a step further and put themselves in the way on purpose. Instead of letting your device fetch images directly, they fetch every image through their own servers first, cache it, and then hand it to you. This is an image proxy. When the pixel does load, the request to the sender comes from the provider's machines, not yours. So the connecting address they see is the proxy, not your real location. The open might still register, but stripped of the most personal parts. A lot of the time, the provider also loads images in a way that smears the timing. So a single open looks less like a single human looking at a single message. Some providers go further still and fetch every image the instant the message arrives, before you have even looked at it. The idea is that if the pixel fires for everyone, the moment mail lands, the open signal becomes useless because it no longer lines up with the human actually reading. The sender sees an open at delivery time for every message, opened or not, and the timing they cared about dissolves into noise. It is a clever inversion. The tracker only works because the fetch means something, so the provider makes the fetch happen all the time and mean nothing. Where the defenses stop. None of this is a perfect wall, and it is worth being honest about the gaps. An image proxy can hide your location and muddy the timing, but if it loads the pixel at all, the sender still learns the message was open. You have given up the precise where and when, not the fact of it. Blocking remote images is stronger, but it asks something of you. The moment you click Show Images on a message you actually want to see properly, every pixel in it fires at once, and you are back on the dashboard. And clicking a link in any email, wrapped or not, is its own separate signal that no image setting touches. The defenses shrink the sensor. They do not unplug it entirely, the email as a sensor. So here's the thing to carry out of this. An email is not just a letter sitting in a folder waiting to be read. It is a small piece of software that runs the instant you look at it, and a lot of what it runs is built to watch you do exactly that, if I were hide. But the things arriving in your day, the message, the link, the helpful little image, are also instruments, quietly measuring when you showed up, where you were, and what you touched. Once you have seen the pixel, you start noticing how much of the ordinary internet is shaped the same way. A surface you use, and underneath it, a sensor you did not know was on. Before you go, if pulling apart the hidden machinery of the everyday internet is your thing, this channel does it every single day, one system at a time, explained from the inside. No products, nothing to sell, just the parts of the internet that were built to stay out of view. Subscribe and follow the rabbit hole. The deeper you go, the more of these quiet sensors you start to see. Next time we follow the tracking one layer closer to you. The email watches you from a distance, but the next thing lives right inside your browser, with permission to read every page you open. Our helpful browser extension can quietly spy on everything. That one is closer than you think.